There's a Patriot Wars at our campus that has raked up a new polarized picture with students being dragged in, student politics, which is now also turning the tide over the national debate over patriotism. Going across to India today is Gaurav Sawant, who is getting us the latest from Delhi University. Gaurav, you've been there through the day. We've seen ABVP march as well from the art faculty to Khalsa College. But is this now the tide which is ebbing, or is just escalating?
It is the battle of ideologies, and that's a top focus story on this special broadcast that comes to you from the Delhi University North Campus. I'm Gaurav Sawant. Along with me, Padmaja Joshi and Ankit Tyagi. We will get you the latest on the campus wars. Now, round one was a Tiranga Yatra by the Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad. Round two was the left students' bodies that came out to save the Delhi University, and once again there's been a retaliatory Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad rally this afternoon to save the Delhi University, and as the ABVP activists put it, to highlight atrocities of the left in Kerala. And when that question was put, why Kerala, they're saying that's the true face of left politics that needs to be exposed. Rather gory pictures of violence in Kerala, where BJP, RSS and ABVP activists, some beheaded, some hacked, all shown on posters, a big poster war. But amidst all of this, the Union Finance Minister has also weighed in. Arun Jaitley says there are elements who are trying to make nationalism a bad word. Let's quickly listen into the Union Finance Minister.
Nationalism is a good word. ये तो केवल इस देश में है कि राष्ट्रवाद बुरा शब्द है, ये विवाद खड़ा करने की ये एक प्रयास किया जा रहा है.
Here I'm joined by two of the protesters who are leading the march. In a way, they are carrying ABVP posters saying देश और छात्र हित में काम किया है और आगे भी करते रहेंगे. What do you want to draw the point here home that when you take out this march, counter to the counter march?
Actually, thing is just simple that we don't want just this kind of people in our country.
And this kind of people, what do you mean by this kind of people?
The anti-nationalists.
Why do you call them anti-national?
Because they have just given such comments over our country that are not just considerable.
Well, Shivangi is calling them anti-national. Let's go to Supriya. Supriya, you do agree with Shivangi?
Yes, completely. I do agree with her.
There are kind of a lot of rhetoric, there are a lot of chanting that happened about Bastar Mange Azadi, Kashmir Mange Azadi. Do you think it's actually a freedom of speech, or it's a matter of disintegration of the country?
It's a matter of disintegration, as we are living in a country which is already free. So how come you are there and asking for a freedom? It's not worth it. You can't ask.
Mr. What you said yesterday, we said a lot of crowds. Do you think they're indigenous people of Delhi University, or they brought from somewhere else?
They were brought from somewhere else. They were not from Delhi University, I think.
And Supriya and Shivangi, both of you, if I ask you one message you want to give to Aisa and all the people, Umar Khalid and gang, what will be that one message be?
Respect our country.
Yes, respect our country.
What started at the Jawaharlal Nehru University last year was at the Delhi University this year. But what next? And I quickly want to cut across to India Today's Padmaja Joshi, who joins us with more on the story. And Padmaja, you covered the left protests, you've covered the ABVP protests and the protests that took place at the Jawaharlal Nehru University last year. Now, is there merit in the ABVP saying that these are left politics of divide and rule? This is not what DU is known for. Delhi University is not known for Kashmir ke tukde honge or Kashmir ki azadi tak jang rahegi kind of slogans.
What is very interesting, Gaurav, is that we are seeing a repeat, like you mentioned, the kind of slogans we'd seen in Jawaharlal Nehru University last year. For that to happen, and let us tell our viewers that this is a video that the ABVP has submitted to the police, and that is why India Today has put that video out after it was submitted to the police by the ABVP, a video in which inside Ramjas College there were slogans going up of which sought the Azadi of Kashmir, the Azadi of Bastar. The main question that people here have on the campus at Delhi University, you've always had student politics, then why are outsiders coming in? If you want it to be limited to student unions or student groups, student bodies within the Delhi University, let them engage in this exchange of ideas or battle of ideologies. Once outsiders come in, why did a sizable delegation of JNU come onto this campus, Gaurav, when the entire protest was held yesterday, or pardon me, day before yesterday, by the ISA and the SFI? A sizable delegation was there from outside of the Delhi University campus, and that is something they say is being done deliberately in order to vitiate the atmosphere inside the university.
Okay. An attempt being made to vitiate the environment in Delhi University. Strong words there. And before this protest started, I spoke to Saket Bahuguna, the spokesperson for the Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad, and I asked him why were posters of violence in Kerala being shown at Delhi University. Let's listen in to what he said. Posters of BJP and RSS activists killed in Kerala at the Delhi University. Those behind me and those in front. Saket Bahuguna of the Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad with me on the broadcast. Saket, these posters, Kerala violence posters in Delhi, why?
Some people have been issuing certificate of violence to us especially, and have been alleging that we are indulging in violence in campuses. You know that Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad is the largest student organization in India. We are sweeping Delhi University students in elections. We are in power in most of the universities in country. But you see no violence in these universities, or very small incidents here and there. But when it comes to the communists, wherever the communists are in power, there is not just violence, but they just eliminate their opposers. They eliminate all those people who speak against them. So this is the real face of the communists.
But is this the counter to the rape threats to young Gurmehar Kaur? Because this cannot justify violence, cannot justify violence.
Of course not. No violence can justify violence. In the Gurmehar case, ABVP has gone to the Delhi police saying take action against those who are issuing rape threats and death threats to them. But this is regarding the communists. Wherever the communists have come in power, there has been violence, and there has been everyone from the opposite side has been eliminated by them. So this is the reality of the communists.
And that is what you're countering, a rally by the communists, by ISA, CPI, CPM activists, student activists yesterday, a couple of days ago, and you're countering it by this?
See, there were 20 different organizations, different left parties, and they had also brought in a lot of outsiders, a lot of politicians like Sitaram Yechuriji was here, and a lot of other politicians were here. But this is purely a march of Delhi University students who are going to march in favor of the country, who are going to march in favor of the nationalist forces, who are going to march against attempts of people to create to justify Maoist violence and to justify separatist tendencies on campus. We are against them, and this is a strong message to them.
Okay, but is violence the solution? Because there are people who chant Kashmir ki Azadi tak jang rahegi, or you can't hit them into submission.
No, violence is not the solution, but that is why we have taken out this peaceful march, and we are demanding that the Delhi University administration as well as the Delhi police should wake up now. After 1 year after the JNU incident, another incident happens in Delhi University. What are you waiting for? Are you waiting for other universities to be taken over by such people? Do you want these slogans to be heard in other universities across India? This is not tolerable, and ABVP will not tolerate it anywhere in the country. We will not allow anti-national slogans to be raised, and wherever such slogans are raised, we will protest democratically against those people.
Saket, many thanks for speaking to India Today.
But there's also this heated debate, just chanting Kashmir ki azadi tak jang rahegi और भारत की बर्बादी तक जंग रहेगी और भारत तेरे टुकड़े हो इंशाल्लाह. Does this constitute sedition? There is a heated debate because there are elements in the government who say this should not be permitted. Even if laws need to be tweaked, then laws should be tweaked. That's one section within the government. But Soli Sorabjee, former Attorney General, one of the best known legal minds in the country, says just chanting slogans cannot be constituted as sedition. For that, there has to be incitement to violence, and violence should follow. So there is a thin line, but are there many in the government who are willing to buy that? Because the Supreme Court has weighed in. Do laws need to be tweaked? That debate also rages on.
Supreme Court way back in 62 made it clear in Kerala's case that there is no sedition, even if it is criticism of government, however vigorous, however pungent, unless there is incitement to violence. Now, I don't know why these people are hesitant for sedition. There's absolute misuse of the sedition laws.
The reason they say this is because some pro-Azadi sentiments are in their speeches. They talk of Azadi, they talk of stuff which could impinge on the sovereignty of the nation.
So Azadi slogans are sedition? Complete nonsense. Unless Azadi slogans are, there's an incitement to violence. After Azadi is taken, now you have to throw off the government by any means. Then it's a different matter. Otherwise it's free speech. People can express themselves. We must also recognize the value of freedom of speech and expression. And the Supreme Court has said this, that's the law laid down in 62. I don't know what's happening.
And do you believe that all this is symptomatic of that we are becoming a lot more intolerant to contrarian views?
No, three things. If you mean we should delete the law relating to sedition 124A, I don't agree. Strike down to action, not the section. And we are becoming more intolerant everywhere because no one likes to be criticized. No one can take criticism. So any criticism, which in a democracy is the soul of democracy, it has to be, we must have freedom for the thought we hate. People want to have recourse to sedition laws. But that's not a reason to strike down the sedition section.
You spoke of people, trying to stifle free speech. We have an MP, Honorable MP of the Rajya Sabha, who's compared this young girl, Gurmeha Kaur, to Dawood Ibrahim.
I think that MP doesn't deserve to be an MP if he talks like that. Do they make statements just for the sake of publicity to attract attention, but don't apply their mind at all? I think strong action should be taken against the MP. Is he BJP?
He's a BJP MP.
BJP authorities should take the necessary action.
Finance Minister Mr. Jaitley has said that if free speech impinges on sovereignty, then perhaps it calls for greater debate, and maybe some action is needed.
When he means by sovereignty impinges, if you criticize, all right. But if you impinge sovereignty, suppose you say Pakistan Zindabad, you may not like it. But if you say India Murdabad, Marat Murdabad, that's a different matter. Then, of course, there is a case for sedition, or case for taking action against that. But that's a clear line. We must be clear about it.
So no deletion, but maybe clear. It's the definition of sedition should be more clearly, sharply defined.
Sharply defined in accordance with what the Supreme Court has said. So there's no dispute. Reproduce what the Supreme Court has said about sedition and make all the authorities educate them. And if they don't do it, take action against those authorities.
Who are well informed. When you pick up a case, you should pick up the case in entirety. In one case, Supreme Court says that merely speaking against the nation is not amounting to sedition. It must be backed by action, or you must be able to incite violence in action. Then only sedition charge can be framed. In one of the another case, merely speaking against Jawaharlal Nehru government, not nation, speaking against the government was confirmed as sedition. So you must be very clear that sedition law is not very, very well defined in our act. So I have stated in the parliament also that there must be much more clear definition of the provisions in the sedition definition. So I think we will not comment on the interpretation made by the courts, but having said that, it is better if there are better definitions.
And that's the big question. Debate, discuss, dissent, but all within the purview of the law. There should be no breaking the law. And Padmaja, somewhere down the line, this very heated debate, whether at Jawaharlal Nehru University or at Delhi University, is all about whether chanting pro-Kashmir Azadi slogans breaks the law, and that is where clarity is required.
Absolutely, and in fact, on that, the number of ministers, government sources who have been speaking to India today have said again and again, because it's all very well, the sentiment is all very well, Gaurav, but even you, when you've spoken to several ministers, senior ministers at the centre, the fact remains that according to the law, till the time there is an actual call to violence, a case of sedition cannot be made out against anyone. In fact, you just heard senior jurist Soli Sorabjee talk about how just because a student is making some inflammatory slogans, to book him or her under this law is an extremely draconian measure, and it just militates against the very spirit of a university which is supposed to be a place for free thought, exchange of ideas and discussion. That being said, while there may be disagreements with what Mr. Sorabjee has said, till the time the law is amended and there is a thought within the government that there is going to gradually be a clearer definition of what sedition is, that whether certain slogans, whether if you ask for harm to be brought to the country or its institutions, whether that qualifies as sedition, that needs to be spelled out in black and white, and there is a thought that that should be done sooner rather than later.
And students, of course, on ground telling both Padmaja Joshi, Ankit Tyagi that as far as the Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad is concerned, they will not permit anti-India slogans to be chanted at university campuses. And that is something that is a little disturbing, because students should not take law in their own hands. Of course, ABVP also insisting that they will lodge complaints against those who chant anti-India slogans with the Delhi police. But what is the government thinking? Information and Broadcasting Minister Venkaiah Naidu, he too weighed in an exclusive conversation with India Today Group's Managing Editor Rahul Kanwal. Let's listen in.
Minister, welcome to India Today. I want to begin by asking you about this big debate, what started at the Jawaharlal Nehru University, now the same fire raging at DU. There seems to be an attempt being made in the government to redefine what constitutes sedition. You've put out a bunch of tweets as well. Can you explain the thinking in the government's mind? How do you believe the sedition law needs to be rewritten, sir?
Why this discussion at all? Who started this discussion? Who brought the sedition law? Is it Narendra Modi government? Please understand, we are trying to divert the issues. What happened in Jawaharlal Nehru University, what is happening in Ramjas College, or what happened in Jadavpur University is all about certain people raising anti-national slogans, anti-India slogans, certain people raising the issues of separatism, independence to Kashmir, certain people trying to celebrate the memory of Afzal Guru, a terrorist and a Pakistani agent who tried to blow parliament. That is the main issue. And what is the law as per the constitution, what is the as per Indian Penal Code, that has to take its own course.
But
and if suppose some sections are wrongly charged, then the courts are there to take care of it.
But Minister, I'd like to quote to you what the law and what jurisprudence at this time says, sir. The Kedarnath Singh case of 1962 says, a call against the government or against the state is not sedition. It's only when there is incitement to violence or public disorder, that is what is sedition. Now, in the tweets that you put out as well, you're saying these Azadi chants are not okay. But if you read the law as it exists, if you read the Supreme Court judgments, the Supreme Court in its most recent judgment seems to believe that saying Azadi or chanting against India is not sedition. There must be a call to arms. That's the way the law is at this time.
These people who are giving these slogans, they are taking to arms in Kashmir. These people who are giving slogans, they are taking arms in Chhattisgarh, in Jharkhand, in Orissa, in the Naxal hotbed. That is the next course. And they believe that power comes from the barrel of the gun. And these people, separatists and the terrorists, the sponsors of terrorism in Kashmir, they also believe that they can get Azadi by use of force only. The slogan of Azadi will be followed by violence. This is what is happening. You cannot simplify what the Supreme Court has said. Supreme Court also has said the next sentence which you yourself has read it. That is going to follow. That is what is happening.
The INV minister, they're taking a very, very strong line. Anti-India slogans is not okay. Now, young Gurmehar Kaur, she held a placard and that was her sign of protest, her way of protesting. The biggest superstar of the century, Amitabh Bachchan, he's also holding a placard to send out a message. And that's a very warm message that Amitabh Bachchan is sending out, holding this placard. Look at these images. Equality, equal rights for the girl child.